right, picture this. There's this 22-year-old woman, Caylee Anthony, and for a whole freaking month, she's just out here living her best life, partying, getting tattoos, and posting on MySpace like she doesn't have a care in the world. But here's the thing, she does have something to care about. Because her 2-year-old daughter, Caylee Anthony, yeah, she's missing. And I don't mean missing like lost at the mall. I mean, nobody's seen this little girl in 31 days. Now, normal people, they'd be panicking, calling the cops, making missing person flyers. But Caylee? Oh, she's out here doing shots, entering hot body contests, and getting a tattoo that literally says Bella Vita, which means beautiful life. Yeah, real Mother of the Year behavior. But eventually, after a full month, Caylee's mom, Cindy Anthony, finally calls 911, and she's losing her mind. She tells the operator, "It smells like there's been a dead body in my daughter's damn car." And the police, they're like, "Wait, what?" So they rush over, and right away they know something's off. First of all, Caylee hasn't even reported her daughter missing. And when the cops ask her where Caylee is, she just casually goes, "Oh yeah, she's with her nanny, Zanny." And the cops go, "Okay, cool. So where's Zanny?" And that's when Caylee's story starts getting real shaky. She says Zanny's full name is Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez, and that she's been babysitting Caylee for the past 2 years. But when police track down an actual woman named Zenaida Gonzalez, she's like, I've never met this chick in my life. At this point, the cops are like, "Yeah, we're gonna need you to come with us." And as soon as they start digging, her whole story falls apart. For starters, Caylee tells them she works at Universal Studios. So the police are like, "All right, let's go there and talk to your boss." And she actually goes with them, walks all the way into Universal, pretending like she works there. She's waving at people, leading them through hallways, until finally she just stops, sighs, and goes, "Okay, fine, I don't work here." Bro, she really thought she could Jedi mind trick the police. At this point, police know she's full of it, but they don't have a body, so they can't arrest her for anything serious. Yet. But then, forensic tests come back from Caylee's car and, yeah, it's bad. Scientists find traces of human decomposition in the trunk, along with strands of Caylee's hair and high levels of chloroform. And suddenly, this is looking a lot less like a missing person case and a lot more like a homicide. Meanwhile, Caylee's still in jail on some minor charges when she starts writing letters to another inmate, and this is where she really incriminates herself. She straight up writes, if they never find the body, they've got nothing. Ma'am. But, it gets worse. After months of searching, on December 11, 2008, a meter reader named Roy Kronk is walking through the woods near the Anthony family home, and he stumbles across a garbage bag with tiny human bones inside. And boom, DNA confirms, it's Caylee. At this point, prosecutors are ready to throw the book at Caylee. They charge her with first-degree murder, and in May 2011, her trial begins. And bro, this trial is a circus. Caylee's defense attorney, Jose Baez, gets up there and says, actually, Caylee drowned in the pool and Caylee's dad covered it up. And everyone's like, what? Caylee's dad, George Anthony, is sitting there like, excuse me? And Baez is like, oh yeah, and Caylee was also abused as a kid, so she lies a lot. Bro, this man just threw every crazy theory at the wall to see what would stick. Meanwhile, the prosecution is like, nah, she did it. The forensic evidence proves it. She used chloroform, suffocated Caylee, and dumped her body. And the jury? They eat it up. But then, this is where the case takes a wild turn. Because on July 5th, 2011, after just 11 hours of deliberation, the jury finds Caylee not guilty of murder. The entire country loses its mind. People are screaming, the news is going crazy, Nancy Grace is having a meltdown, even the judge is stunned. But here's the thing. Caylee is found guilty on 4 counts of lying to police, so she gets sentenced to 4 years in jail. But then, plot twist, she gets credit for time served and walks free just 10 days later. And just like that, Caylee Anthony is back out in the world. But it's not like she just disappears. Oh no. In the years that follow, she tries to rebuild her image, giving interviews, starting a photography business, even working for a private investigator. And when people ask her, did you kill your daughter? She goes, I sleep just fine at night. Bruh. To this day, she maintains she had nothing to do with Caylee's death. But ask anyone in America and they'll tell you, Caylee Anthony got away with murder. Real quick, if you like this story so far, go ahead and like, comment, and hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next on Talescape. All right, back to it. So, Caylee Anthony walks free. And you'd think after all that, she'd just lay low, disappear, change her name, maybe move to Alaska or something. Nope, she goes out, gets spotted at bars, living it up like she's some kind of celebrity. Like, bro, you were just on trial for that. Maybe sit this one out? But here's the thing. America hates her. I mean, this isn't just people side-eyeing her at Target. There are mobs of people outside her house, signs calling her a monster, people screaming at her in public. She has to go into hiding because nobody wants her around. And even though she's legally not guilty, the FBI, law enforcement, and actual forensic experts still believe she got away with it. And let's be real, the whole case was a mess. The evidence? Damning. The trial? A circus. The verdict? A disaster. But the biggest question everyone's still asking is, if Caylee didn't do it, then who the hell did? And this is where the theories get wild. First, let's go back to Caylee's remains. When her body was found, she had duct tape over her mouth. Not just any duct tape, the same brand from the Anthony family home. And remember how police found chloroform in Caylee's car trunk? Well, turns out someone had been Googling chloroform on the Anthony family computer. And not just once, 84 times. Now, Caylee's defense team tried to argue that maybe it wasn't her. Maybe it was her dad, George Anthony. But when investigators checked, Caylee was the only one home when those searches were made. And what's worse, they also found Google searches for neck breaking and how to make chloroform. Ma'am. Oh, but Caylee's ex-best friend? She comes out and says, yeah, Caylee used to talk about using chloroform to make Caylee sleep so she could go out and party. And now it's not looking like some tragic accident. It's looking like Caylee planned this whole thing. But wait, there's more. During the trial, Caylee's lawyer threw out a wild defense. Caylee drowned in the pool. The idea was that Caylee's dad found Caylee dead and helped her cover it up. But there was zero evidence of this. And when George Anthony took the stand, he was visibly crushed. He swore up and down that he had nothing to do with it. Meanwhile, Caylee, she's sitting there stone-faced like she's watching a boring movie. Oh, and let's not forget, Caylee's mom, Cindy, tried to take the blame for the Google searches. She tells the court, oh, that was me. I was looking up chloroform because I was trying to search for chlorophyll. You know, for plants, sis? No. The prosecution called her bluff real quick because she was at work when those searches happened. So either she's got telepathic Wi-Fi powers or she's just lying to save Caylee. Now, here's the craziest part. Caylee had months to explain what happened to Caylee. But instead, she did nothing. She never gave a real reason for why she lied. She never admitted to anything. And when people asked her where Caylee was for 31 days, her response was literally, I don't know. Girl. Now fast forward to 2017, and Caylee does her first big interview since the trial. And guess what she says? I sleep just fine at night. Excuse me? The whole world is still pissed, still demanding answers, and she's just out here living her life like nothing happened. But let's talk about that life, because after the trial, Caylee Anthony was broke. She files for bankruptcy in 2013, claiming she had $0 to her name. No job, no assets, nothing. And where's she living? With a private investigator who worked on her defense team. And that dude, he starts spilling the tea. He later comes out and says Caylee told him, straight up, that she did it. Now, do we have proof she said that? No, but do we believe it? Yeah. Oh, but she's not done making terrible life choices. Because in 2020, she decides, hey, I should start a private investigation company. No, seriously. Caylee Anthony, the woman who couldn't even Google chloroform discreetly, now wants to solve crimes. But here's the thing, nobody hires her. Because, well, she's Caylee Anthony. At this point, her life is just weird. She goes out to bars, gets into fights, and gets spotted hanging out with Jose Baez, the same lawyer who got her off the hook. Like, bro, what is this? A buddy comedy? And still to this day, she never admits to anything. People have begged her to tell the truth, to say something about Caylee. But all she ever does is deflect, play the victim, and act like the world is against her. And you know what? Maybe she's right. Because when it comes to America's most hated people, Caylee Anthony is still at the top of the list. So, at this point, Caylee Anthony is walking around as a free woman, but nobody is letting her forget. She might have dodged prison time, but she sure as hell didn't dodge public outrage. Everywhere she goes, people recognize her. They're screaming at her, calling her a monster, refusing to serve her at restaurants. At one point, someone straight up throws a drink at her face outside a bar. And let's be real, America doesn't forget. Because in the years since her acquittal, Caylee Anthony has tried to slip back into normal life. But good luck with that when you're known as the most hated woman in the country. So what's she been up to? Well, after filing for bankruptcy in 2013, she somehow starts dating again. Because apparently there are men out there who think, yeah, I'd like to take a chance on that. And the media, they eat it up every time she steps outside. One day, she's spotted at a bar in West Palm Beach, just chilling. Next, she's hanging out at a music festival. And then there's that one time she's caught arguing with another woman about some guy. Bro, you barely escaped a murder charge, and this is your priority? But oh, it gets even weirder. Because in 2022, Caylee Anthony decides, you know what? It's time for my side of the story. And she releases a documentary on Peacock called Caylee Anthony, Where the Truth Lies. And surprise, it's 3 hours of her blaming everyone but herself. She comes out and says, actually, my dad did it. He killed Caylee, and he staged it to look like my fault. And the world immediately calls BS. Even the producers of the documentary seem skeptical. At one point, the interviewer literally asks, why didn't you say this at your trial? And Caylee just sits there like, I don't know, girl. But let's break down this new excuse. According to Caylee, she wasn't lying. She was just so traumatized by her dad's actions that she couldn't tell the truth. She claims George Anthony woke her up on June 16, 2008, holding Caylee's lifeless body, and told her everything's gonna be okay. She says she froze and didn't know what to do. But here's the thing. This doesn't explain anything. If that was really the case, why would she go out partying for 31 days like nothing happened? Why would she make up a fake nanny instead of just telling the truth? Oh, and here's a big problem with her story. In 2011, she was still defending her dad in jailhouse letters. At one point, she literally writes, my dad is a great man. So what? You just suddenly remember 14 years later that he's the real villain? Bro, pick a lane. But let's talk about George Anthony for a second. Because after years of staying quiet, in 2019, he finally gives his own interview. And bro looks broken. He's tearing up, saying he still misses Caylee, and get this, he even says he's open to reconnecting with Caylee. Sir, she just accused you of murder. But here's the kicker. Even after all that, Caylee is still living in Florida. Right near where all of this happened. She's been spotted grocery shopping, going to Starbucks, just walking around like she's not one of the most notorious people in America. And here's the wildest part. In 2023, reports start swirling that she wants to have another child. The public reaction? Oh, hell no. People lose their minds at the thought. And honestly, can you blame them? So what's next for Caylee Anthony? Well, she's been trying to rebuild her life, but nobody really wants her around. She tried working as a private investigator, but yeah, that didn't last. She tried to go on TV and clear her name, but nobody's buying her story. And she's been spotted at bars, but you know people aren't letting her forget. At this point, she's basically America's most infamous outcast. She might be legally free, but nobody actually believes she's innocent. And no matter how many interviews she does, no matter how many excuses she makes, one thing will never change. Caylee Anthony is gone, and the world still believes her mom got away with it. That's the story. Now I want to hear what you think. Drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. And if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Thanks for watching.